So, things are certainly getting interesting, to say the least. That's what I'll say when I get a chance to talk to Joe again. I went out yesterday. It was nice out. It wasn't as nice where I am as it was some other places, but it was still okay. I wasn't stupid enough to not wear a coat. Basically, I wore what you see me in. These pants are the only pants that don't have a hole in them of mine. They're my only pants that fit me. Because the other pants I bought when I was a lot thinner, and even though I could fit in them and squish into them, they have holes in them, which, I can't wear them if I'm going out without a coat, which I thought was going to be the case today. I thought I was going to be going out without a coat. And then I realized, when I went out in the yard with Omar, I walked him a little bit down the street, but I was going to go like to the woods, like we usually do, to the edge or whatever, because he hasn't, I don't have any protection, no flea and tick protection to put on him. Today's supposed to storm. It's also supposed to be, a lot colder, which it's supposed to be, you know what I mean? It's February, like, I created intentionally just to goof off, just to kill two birds with one stone, because my feet fetish fans are hungry for anything. A weird fucking video while I was blow drying my hair. The video was intentionally weird. It was also different angles. I moved the camera this way and that, kicking the camera. I did some giantess Alicia rhymes, all intentional, just for fun. I did it while I was drying my hair. I had to dry my hair anyway, so I did it for fun. I had to be careful not to go over the camera, though, or anything like that when I wasn't wearing underwear under the towel. Then I put underwear on, see? Anyway, on to more serious subjects. So, up until now, I have not received any of my info on any of this going on. The school shooting, in Florida last week, the school shooting, the subsequent student activism, which we haven't seen until now. Kids are fed up. I don't blame them. I applaud their efforts. But I do know there's a bigger picture, and I also had my suspicions confirmed, not that there was ever any doubt in my mind, on the pretense of wanting stricter gun laws. What they really want is a ban on all assault weapons. That's what they want, period. And they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. If there's a ban, that would mean people would have to give up the guns they have now. Joe says it won't happen. We'll have a civil war before people will give up their guns. And you can't say, well, what do they need an AR-15 for? Like Joe says, if you just have a pistol and someone's coming at you with, the criminals will still have the assault weapons. Just because there's a ban on them doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean diddly squat. And you get the father of the dead Meadow, and he's like, after the first shooting, it should have never happened again. You cannot guarantee that anything will never happen again, okay? I'm sorry you lost your daughter. People lose. You can't guarantee nothing, okay? You can never say with any ban all guns and it'll never happen. First of all, gun ban isn't going to happen. But you see, naive people think you get rid of the guns, there won't be these crimes. It's just bullshit. But whatever. Like I said, I applaud their efforts. And it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because they faced down. I just watched Nightline, and it was on World News Tonight as well, and they faced down a Republican senator, and they were trying to get answers, these students. And you still can't forget, like Joe would say, they're kids. They're still kids. They're kids. They don't know even remotely everything about life, okay? Not even remotely, okay? Just like Mike Adams was and others were pointing out the absolute ludicrousy of some of these kids who were, you know, wanting everything for free and wanting to go to college for free and just thinking everything, but, you know, but and different things, or the ones who were having absolute hissy fit breakdowns just because Trump became president, you know what I mean? But in any case, they are kids, and they don't even remotely know the big picture. They're not aware even remotely of the big picture, period. They're not. Okay? Let's just put that out there. But this Republican senator, they said, you know, do you support, you know, gun ownership of AR-15, and he said, I support people's right to defend themselves. And then he dodged the issue, because it is a sticky issue where these naive kids who are only looking at, I don't want another people to be killed. And again, there's so much in this world, so much corruption, so much whatever, okay? You ban guns, the criminals will still have them, beyond any shadow of any doubt. Speaking of that, I'm just running this by you people, because I would never do it. I can't comprehend these people who do it, okay? Why, if you're being robbed, if you're a convenience store or whatever, do you really value money more than you? I see it on the news, and they should not be hailing these people as heroes, okay, or whatever. They should be calling them stupid. And sometimes the cops have. I've seen sometimes where a cop would say, will go on and say, you know, you shouldn't do this. You know, if somebody's robbing your store and waving a gun at you, why are you going to try to stop them? Isn't it better just give them the money and let them go? Do you want to get shot? My news has this all the time. I'm sure it happens, and other states have their own versions of these people. I mean, even sometimes it's not their store, they're just employees, and they're going to fight off like it's their fucking money. Like, you do not owe your employer your fucking life. If someone's waving a gun at you, don't fight them, you know? It was just on the news a couple days ago. The guy was fought off by two employees. He did run away, and I guess it turned out it was a fake gun, but still, it could easily be a real gun. I'm sorry. If you're defending your life because somebody you know is intent on killing you, raping you, whatever, that's one thing. If someone's robbing your fucking store where you work, give them the fucking money. Why are these so-called heroes risking their lives like that? I told you already about that in a video, about that horrible story where this so-called hero, he's not even remotely a fucking hero, he's an idiot, and he had a family, he had a wife, he had a kid, okay? His store was robbed, okay? But they were gone. He was safe, and what do you think he did? Because it was one, he decided to chase after the person. Well, guess what? The person was meeting up with friends and dead father, dead husband. Okay? Don't do it. That was even worse than fighting him off in the store. They were gone. This guy was safe to go home to his wife and kid who loved him. Instead, he decided to pursue the person who had just robbed him. Okay? With a gun, but he decided to pursue him. I read this story, and he wound up killed. He wound up killed, whereas he would have been safe if he hadn't had to play the hero or he was so upset. Oh, probably he got robbed or something, and maybe he had some sort of weapon somewhere or something. Whatever happened, he decided to pursue the person. They were gone. The guy was gone, whatever, but no, you have to chase after him, and he wound up dead. He's dead now because he did that. Okay? The news is always showing them, well, they're not going to show the ones who get killed, you know. They're showing the ones, and they hail them sometimes. Even one was on Jimmy Kimmel, I think, a girl that you know, you see them, and instead of just giving the money, they try to fight, and they could wind up dead. Why is it worth it? Why not just give them the fucking money? It's just money, my God. Especially if it's not even your money, it's just your employer's money. It's not even, people are just, Anyway, this gun thing. Oh, and now, of course, the latest thing. Again, I have not discussed this with Joe at all. But I will tell you this. Jimmy Kimmel, like Joe already said, Jimmy Kimmel's a blah, 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 whatever, but he's always going to be, he's beyond anti-Trump, but he's also just whatever. And if somebody is saying they suspect, actually Joe's told me this, proof of this, because I asked him, like, holy shit, these crisis actors, where Joe says they travel from, you can see them, that's the thing. Joe says there's proof where this person will be at one crisis and then another. Doesn't mean the crisis didn't happen. That's what we want to stress. Jimmy Kimmel will make it out like, if somebody says one person who was this guy, who I did think when I'm watching him that last week, the day of the shooting, well, he didn't seem scared. He's sitting there filming the entire thing. You're hearing whatever. He doesn't seem scared at all. It's almost like he's a reporter filming a document. I mean, he doesn't seem scared at all. And then it comes out, that he is the son of son of an FBI man. I guess the Miami division of FBI, David Hodges, whatever. And people apparently are accusing him of being a crisis actor. So, again, I haven't read anything, but I do know that Joe says about other crisis actors, and I said, how do they prove it? He's like, you can see them. They're at one crisis, and you can see it's definitely the same person, and then they're at another. So, so of course, this kid was on Inside Edition defending himself, and then Jimmy Kimmel was saying, people are saying that all these victims of this shooting, no, they're not saying the shooting didn't happen. They're suspicious of this. He's now a top activist, but he is the one he filmed the entire thing while it was happening. But he's apparently the son of an FBI agent, Miami Division FBI agent, so put on the side of the conspiracy theorists, which I don't even remotely, I'm not on, I don't follow this, you have to understand, but from that perspective, Joe said that there is absolute solid proof. Have I ever gone and investigated it? No. Joe told me to, and I didn't do it. But he said you can see it, not this particular one, but in the past, where there were different crises, mass shootings, whatever, and if the same person, there's no way the same person would be at each one. So he said it doesn't mean that the shooting didn't happen, okay? It means that there are hired people who are to talk and whatever. But this thing, I can guarantee you, if people are saying this, they're not just saying it to say it. There's got to be some reason that people are saying it. I just haven't gone and studied it. I haven't talked to Joe. I haven't gone and studied it. But I can see why people would think this is the same one who is there, all calm and just reporting it as it's happening. Turns out that he's the son of an FBI agent, Miami Division of FBI. He's the son. But if that's all they're thinking, if they're going to say, if that's all they have, then that's not enough. Joe says, and other ones have been accused of being crisis actors, they have photos. Because I said, how can you prove it? He's like, there's photos, you can see them in one crisis and another. I'm like, wow, I would like to have proof. You give me proof. If they have proof that this David Hodges has been in other crises, okay, and that you can definitely prove that it's that same person, well, then we have a problem, But if they're just going to have a conspiracy theory because he's the son of an FBI agent, I mean, that's not enough. Not in my book, anyway. Not enough. Because he's now an activist, and you know, to say that's going too far. That's why people are saying that's just wrong to do that. So I require more proof. But now that they're going to say that, you know, they'll say trolls are doing it, or but of course when I saw on Nightline, oh, and somebody who said that about this kid, David Hodges, I think, or something or other, but apparently Trump's son-in-law, you know, gave a thumbs up to that. So of course Jimmy Kimmel was saying that that's really rotten, that the president's son-in-law is going to endorse something like that, where they're accusing this kid of you know, being a hired actor rather than somebody who genuinely feared for his life as a part of that, you know, being in that mass shooting, you know, while it was happening. Like I said, it's getting interesting. These students they're marching on Washington. They're having walkouts across the country. I applaud their efforts. I don't think for a second they're going to get what they really want. They want a ban on the road. It's not going to happen. Joe's already told me. He told me before this school shooting, if they try to, there'll be a civil war. If they try to take away people's guns, and if they ban the air, you know, then people would have to surrender them. You know, he says it won't happen. But I definitely 100% support better background checks. One of the students at that thing that Trump held yesterday, I got to see snippets of that. I didn't watch it, but I saw snippets on World News Tonight and Nightline. What that kid said was ridiculous. He said, you know, it's ridiculous that an 18-year-old, he knows of an 18-year-old who walked in and bought one of those AR-15s with an expired license. You know, I mean, there should be definitely stricter background checks. They need to crack down on if the people who sell guns are too lax and they don't conduct the right background checks, or they, you know, accept expired licenses, things like that. Another school shooting was foiled. They found in this guy's, I don't know, he looks Asian or Chinese or something, I don't know, but they found tons of rounds, whatever. They found like 2 AR-15. They found a whole bunch. That would have probably been another mass school shooting, but it was thwarted. It was prevented. Whatever. He got caught. However, you know. But that was a genuine threat. There were kids too who just try to, you know, like here in Rockland or Bridgewater or something, these kids threatened and whatever, but they do it just to do it, not because they're really planning to shoot the school or have guns or anything, you know. But it needs to be taken seriously, you know. We don't know. It's getting interesting. I'm curious now why this kid, you know, this teenager's being accused of, you know, being one of those crisis actors. But if they're just going by, oh, he's the son of a, that's bullshit. FBI people still have children that have to go to school and could be a part of mass shootings. It doesn't mean it's a big conspiracy, but I can see why people are going there, especially since, you know, it was all botched and they didn't, etc. That's where conspiracy things come from. But as for crisis actors, they do exist. Joe told me that these people who are accused of being crisis actors, this pictures actually of them being at different crises. So it doesn't mean whatever happened didn't happen. It means that there are paid actors meant to just really, to be crisis actors, to really lay it on thick and really blah, 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 whatever. And Joseph there, he doesn't believe they're ones that actually took part, were a part of it. Well, in this instance, we know damn well this guy was in the school because he filmed it all while it was happening. He filmed him talking. He did that well. You could hear, he filmed it. I saw him last week when nobody knew it was going to come out that he was the son of an FBI agent, whatever. But so far, I've only gotten mainstream media's side. But when this all happened, I knew. I said, Joey, she's so proud of me. I'm only listening to mainstream media side, but I'm already suspicious of this, that, whatever, including of the fact that this kid was able to just walk in carrying this big case and walk in just like that when it's supposedly one of the safest schools around, the most security, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And that's why people, when they come up with these so-called conspiracy theories, it's because too many things don't make sense. And it all just intertwines and raises the suspicions of people who are aware of the bigger picture and the agenda and, all the stuff going on behind the scenes, like when the Hunger Games came out. Joe says that's what they really want for us. And the thing downsizing, it's made as though this great joke, movie, and it's supposed to be entertainment or whatever, but is it Agenda 21? That's what they want for us. Like Joe said, they want us. And Joe told me, and I didn't go and see, but not here in our country, but in somewhere in Britain or something, there are cartoons geared, directed at children, and talking about how you're just a blight on this planet, and you shouldn't even be here. Basically, you'd be better off if you didn't exist, kill yourself, whatever. It may not say it directly, but it implies it. And Joe told me about that, and I'm like, okay, can I see it online, and then he told me what to look up. It's I think it's Britain or something, and I'm like, that's disgusting. And he's like, yeah, because they want to make it out that they don't want us to our breath. They don't want anything. We're just, a blade on the planet, and they want us just to be, he just just live in like a cardboard box, and that's why they have these new apartments that are so tiny houses, tiny that, because there's always a lot of shit going on behind the scenes. I can guarantee you these activist students are not aware of in the least. They are not aware of it. Okay? Most people probably aren't aware of it, but Joe said a lot of people are waking up. But Jimmy Kimmel's audience, of course, is only going to be on it. He can just play them like a violin. He can make it out like people who are questioning this Hodge guy being the son of the FBI agent, and the whole thing with the botched thing and all the missed signs of this Nicholas, all this crap. He's going to go on his show and make it out like anybody whoever is questioning that or raising, it's raising people's suspicions, and then people are developing so-called conspiracy theories about it, but just trying to get to the truth and understand, because there's a lot of red flags, a lot of things, whatever. But Jimmy Kimmel is just going to make it out like anybody who has any suspicions whatsoever is accusing all the students that didn't happen, or they're all crisis actors and they're you know what I mean? No. If you are suspicious of this one student, it doesn't mean that you're accusing anybody else of being a crisis actor, just him. Okay? I'm just saying, you know, but I see right through Jimmy Kimmel's agenda. I see right through it all. But I watch it, you know. I watch it, and I haven't yet checked out any of alternative media, what they're saying. But it'd be interesting. It's all interesting. But what I do know for a fact is what's really going on in this world and whatnot. All those students don't have, all those student activists, they don't have a fucking clue in the universe. That I do know for a fact. So, you know, they don't have a fucking clue. They have blinders on, and they don't understand there's a whole bigger picture going on. And what Joe says the bigger picture is, and what Hillary Clinton would have done, is taken away everyone's guns. That's what the ultimate goal was, to not have anybody have guns. And again, the reason our Constitution, the reason the forefathers said right to bear, and whatever that Joe said, to defend yourself, the number one thing is so you could defend yourself against your own government, in case the government decided to, you know, turn into a tyranny or whatever, that you could defend yourself. Take away your guns and that's it. You just start, you know. But of course, ignorant people and these students are just, they're just kids. They don't have a clue in the universe. You know, they just think, they think this world will just be a happy, smiley place if we take away the guns. They do. They think, but even this father who lost his daughter, and I'm sorry you lost your daughter. You know, people die all the time. All the time. But, he's like, something should have been done after the very first mass shooting, then it would have never happened again. Whatever, yeah, sure. It would have never happened again. You know, that's what they think. They think that it'll just take away, it'll just, everything will be all fine and good, and, you know, and that couldn't be further from the truth. We don't live in that world. We live in a fucking cesspool, okay? All I had to do was watch that friggin' Drugs Incorporated. It's a series that's gone on over the years, okay? All I have to do is watch the human trafficking things that I've watched. All I have to do, okay? Any of it. We live in a cesspool. But I applaud their efforts. At least if they push for a lot, they'll get something. Okay, Trump has already said he's going to put in to ban those bump stocks that turn these AR-15s into automatic weapons. But then, of course, the students get to say an automatic weapon wasn't used in our particular school shooting. It was in the Las Vegas. So we want the AR-15s banned. Yeah, dream on. Isn't going to happen. I applaud your efforts. You know, I said it's not my fight. I applaud their efforts, and I think there definitely should be stricter background checks. But I know if on the pretense of they'll say, like, oh, somebody was on, what was it? I forget what it was, but it made perfect sense. It may be when an expert who came on or whatever, it was somebody, but a couple days ago. But basically saying both sides have their, you know, their beliefs, and neither side's going to waver. See, they won't compromise. you know, the ones who are anti-gun and want all the guns taken away, and which is just one thing I believe 100%, and only naive people, you take away the guns, the criminals will still have guns. Okay. I see right through Jimmy Kimmel, though. He was bringing up other so-called conspiracy theories, like that Cecilia guy or whatever. He was that, whoever it was, the one who, like, supposedly died in his sleep. And conspiracy theorists are suspicious about that because the family doesn't want an autopsy and all this crap, and he was supposed to take over a position, and he was like in great health, and he's just suddenly dead. And Joe says that happens all the time, where these people disappear under suspicious circumstances, and they die, or it's made to look like a suicide. And like one of them was shot in the back of the head, okay, and just like, yeah, the guy committed suicide with a shot in the back of the head. Come on, okay, you know. I 100% believe, but of course, like I said, Jimmy Kimmel has an agenda, and he's like, he was naming other so-called conspiracy theories, and he mentioned the judge that, you know, was supposed to take a position in the government, whatever, and he suddenly died, and, you know, I was following that story because John Rappaport was talking about, I was following that story, and yeah, there's a lot of suspicions around that, including the fact that they didn't do an autopsy, you know. It's all suspicious. These people that have crossed the Clintons, Joe said there's a long list of them who have mysteriously died. No. Obviously, I said to Joe sarcastically, well, obviously you can't prove that they are behind any of these suspicious deaths, and you know what I mean? Because if you could prove it, then they would be in jail, whoever perpetrated, you know. But there's a lot more so-called proof than you think. There's so much corruption going on in this world. It's a fucking cesspool. So I applaud these student activist efforts, but don't believe in 1 second they're going to get what they really want, because I know damn well what they really want. You already know, they want them banned. They want the AR-15s banned. They want them banned. And I know banned doesn't mean, okay, we won't sell them anymore. Banned is anybody who has it has to turn it in, or now they have it illegally and all this crap, and basically that amounts to, as Joe would say, people being forced to give up their guns. And Joe said it won't happen. It won't happen. But, I mean, that one student, she started crying. Was she that naive? Did she think it was going to be that easy? Because that's what my news was saying. It was like, the students they're facing, you know, frustration and whatnot. I don't know, what did they think? Their marches, and suddenly, like, just like that, this has been an ongoing thing, and suddenly, you know, they're going to ban the sale of assault rifles, the AR-15. That's what she must have believed, because she started crying. When by an overwhelming majority, more like double, said we're not in favor of banning it, those interstate. And she's like, the next death with one of those weapons is the blood's on your hands. And this world's a cesspool. According to Joe, there was a war going on that most people are unaware of. Okay. And there are going to be casualties of war, and there are people who believe in false flags, there are people who believe in, you know, so when you add all these things up, Joe did tell me years ago, long before any of this, long before, you know, about the crisis actors, And again, nobody's saying that if there's a crisis actor at one of these crises, like say one of these mass shootings, it's not that the mass shooting did not happen, but like it said on the news, that these people who are hired actors go from crisis to crisis, and they just, you know, bring it home. They really are the ones that are interviewed and this, that, or whatever. And I said, Joe, is there proof? And he said, damn straight there is. There are pictures where they're caught. They're at different crises. So then that's why, you know, nobody just made up this shit about crisis actors. Does that mean this Hodge guy didn't really take part in this? Wasn't really in as a crisis actor or whatnot? Not in your life. Does it mean that? I won't believe that for 1 second unless you give me proof. I'm someone who needs proof, you understand? You give me proof. You show me this kid, this teenager, at another crisis, say last year or something. Whatever it is, show me him in a past thing, in pictures, and then I'll believe you. But I'm not going to believe you just because he's the son of an FBI guy who works in the Miami division. I'm not going to believe that. And people are doing stuff like that. And then Jim Kimmel wasn't going to outright say, he's not going to get into that, but he's just going to say it's trolls and it's this, that, or whatever, but he knows damn well that Alex Jones and Mike Adams and all of them are the ones who are going to be talking about this shit and examining it and whatnot. But he just said trolls, and then he said, maybe it's the Russians trying to fuck up things or whatever. But no, I would never automatically think somebody's a crisis actor unless you show me pictures taken at different crises. According to Joe, there are crisis actors, and it is the same damn person, and that's proof. It's proof they are hired to go from crisis to crisis. Doesn't mean the crisis doesn't happen, but they are hired to really lay on the waterworks and be interviewed and whatever. And so. And Joe told me that there's solid proof of that is in pictures. You know, pictures is the only thing that would prove it to me. I would never just automatically. And I'll tell Joe as much, you know. But of course, the people like Jim Kimmel, are going to turn around and say that anybody who's suspicious of this kid being the son of an FBI agent of the Miami, Florida division of the FBI, and then he's the one who's a really strong student activist now, and he was the one who filmed it while it was happening. He filmed it from where he was hiding. And, but it doesn't mean, and for 1 second, it didn't happen. It doesn't mean anybody's accusing all the students of being crisis actors. No. You can't just extrapolate and say, okay, because so-called conspiracy theorists are suspicious of just this one kid, it doesn't mean they're suspicious of every student activist, or you know what I mean? But it's gonna get interesting. Getting a break from Omar. He's out there on the couch asleep. Now he's yipping. Dreaming. I don't know what you're dreaming, Holmes. So since Omar, I'm sure people have asked this, Omar wasn't always blind, so when he dreams, he remembers, he would probably still dream and see stuff, but do people blind from birth see in their dreams? Or how do they dream? Because there are people blind from birth, and I'm sure I could Google it, and I'm sure they've asked them, like, what kind of dreams do you have? Because everybody dreams. You know what I mean? I'm wondering about that. But as for Omar, he had sight his whole life, so I'm sure he still dreams the same, even though he's blind. I'm sure in his dreams he's not blind. But you can't ask them. You can't ask an animal. The reason they know that animals dream, we all dream, is they measure brain waves, and the animals, every mammal dreams. Everybody dreams. All animals, they have the same, REM brain waves as humans. That's how they know. So you know damn well the animal's dreaming because it's yipping and something's going on. But we can't ever know what they're dreaming about. That's why Jogan was dreaming about chasing a giant chicken or something. I don't know. It's fascinating because we can't know, We can know what humans dream, but we can never ever ask an animal, so we don't know what animals dream. We just know that they do. Bobby's collie shepherd Max. That time down on the couch, I was watching TV. My baby was just in my lap, and he was asleep. And Max, of course, wants to be near me. Bobby was at his girlfriend's. Bobby was never home anyway. And Max came and curled up on the couch next to me and Omar, and I love Max to do that. His owner's not home. He's jealous of me and Omar. He wants to be there. Curled up in a little ball, and he goes to sleep. Omar's asleep on my lap. And Omar simply shifted. He woke up, he shifted, and that's when Max's jaws came that close to ripping off my baby's face right in front of me. Like, I haven't had enough trauma in my life. Omar was terrified. He ran in the other room. It was only chance. He was inches away, and it happened right with Omar on my lap. That was the final straw with me. Remember, Bobby had tricked me. Bobby's third ex-wife, his latest, had a pug. And then Bobby's roommate had a pug. When Bobby's trying to lure me there, Bobby was like telling me how Max loves pugs, and Max gets along with pugs, and my ex-wife had a pug, and my ex-roommate had a pug, and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. No, Max loved pugs that he could bully. He tried it with Omar, and Omar was having none of it. Omar, I don't care. Omar's always been a tough guy. Omar's not timid. Omar's just, Max didn't like that. He wanted to bully, and only later when I was going to leave, when getting close to it, and not probably before this horrible thing had happened, but I'd nearly watched my dog get killed by Bobby's dog. The warning signs were there. Max was so jealous of Omar. Omar got to sleep in my bed. Max would sleep outside my door, and then I was telling, and I was complaining online at the time, videos, that Max would aggressively grab on to Omar from behind, and he's not trying to hump him. It's a power thing. It's not good. Max is this big collie shepherd, Omar's just a little thing. He's just a little pug, But I was in a rock and a hard place. I actually liked it there. I viewed it as my home. I thought I would be staying there. Surprise, surprise. When the shit hit the fan, it really hit the fan, as usual. It can never just hit the fan a little bit. When it rains, it pours. I don't know, this latest thing, this is the first we've seen this. Now we're seeing student activists, and they're marching on Washington, and they're, and This could be a turning point of something. I don't know what. Like they say, they're not going away, and, you know, I applaud their efforts. I applaud their efforts. I see both sides. I see both sides. But I know that the ones on that side who don't see the other side, they are just ignorant. They're not aware of the bigger picture. They think it's just money, and it's just the NRA is in, has the government in their pocket and this, that, or whatever. But it's a lot deeper than that. It's a hell of a lot fucking deeper. This world is corrupt. It's a cesspool. It's shit going on behind the scenes. When I talk to Joe again, I'll be like, well, it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out, you know. I watch mainstream news, you know, but I know better than to I know better than to, you know, to not take it with a grain of salt. I know it's not even remotely telling the whole story. But I've noticed even things, you know, I'm not all for every little thing, conspiracy theory or whatnot, that is brought up by alternative media either, you know. They don't want to compromise. I told you, the people, there's a Catholic school that was on my, I think it was on World News Tonight or something, last week, and their principal and teachers armed with guns, and they love it. They're like, we feel so much safer. They said, who feels safer? Because they all raised their hands. Well, when Trump's little thing yesterday, they were brought up the thing where armed the principal and the teachers or whatever, and the majority didn't raise their hands. They weren't for it. They weren't for it. And then one person was like, my wife's a teacher, and they have enough stress without having the added stress of having to have a gun. And, well, yeah, and you're ignorant, and you want all guns banned. Because think about it. They want the gun raised for the, okay, again, it's on a pretense, because what they really want, we've already seen it, they want they don't want all guns banned, but they want the assault rifles banned. They're weapons of war, and they want them banned, and that's what they're fighting for. And I don't believe for a second they're going to get what they want, but I applaud their efforts. And but anyway, so they all said that they don't want that. They don't want the principals, teachers, or whatever to have guns, but they know damn well, okay, it's a start. Raise the age that you can buy the AR-15, you know, the whatever, from 18 to 21. But they know damn well that doing that is not a foolproof thing. There are examples where these people who shoot up places, if they're students or whatever, if they're kids, they get them from their parents. You can have fake IDs where the person, the gun person, is going to think you're 21 when you're really 18 plus. It's not just an 18-year-old that is going to do a mass shooting. You know, older people do mass shootings as well. So, I'm not buying for 1 second Cruz's guardians, who took him in. I don't know how they knew him. They say they weren't aware of anything, but no, they also said he kept the guns locked up, and we weren't aware that that he had another key. Bullshit. You just got through saying you believe it's his right to have the guns, okay? He purchased them when he's 18, purchased them legally, and now you're going to try to say that you were unaware that he could... They're just trying to cover themselves, okay? But they didn't do anything wrong. He legally bought the guns. He was legally able to have them. But they're trying to say, we weren't aware that we thought there was only one key and we had it and we told him to keep them locked up. You're telling me you were not aware of the fact that he could access his guns without your knowledge when it's his guns and he had them before he even moved in with you. He just moved in with you 3 months ago when his mom died. Bullshit. They're lying. They're lying. And on the news, he said, so he purchased, you allowed him to have that gun, and the husband was like, yeah, it's his right. And then they're like, well, would you still say that now, even after the mass shooting? The guy's like, yep, because he's right. It was Nicholas Cruz's legal right to have that gun. Okay? And it's not just students who commit mass shootings. The guy who did the Sandy Hook thing wasn't a student, okay? He was way older than 18, so... I don't remember how old that guy was that shut up that church that time. Sat there. That's awful. They welcomed him into their church, even though it was a black church and he was white, and I don't know if there were any other white people there, but they welcomed him anyway. It's a church. You feel safe in a friggin' church. And he sat there during the service, blah, blah, whatever, and then he starts blowing them all away. He didn't do it right away. He sat there for a while and listened and took part, and then he blows. Oh my God. I don't know how old he was. It's gonna get interesting, that's all I have to say. I haven't talked to Joe since last week when it first happened. And of course, he was already telling me things that had raised his suspicions. And I'm like, you gotta be so proud of me, Joe, because I didn't talk to you. And I just been watching mainstream media. And my radar, it raised, a lot of things have raised my suspicions as well. And that was before the shit came out where they got a fucking tip a month and a half before the shooting. A major tip saying, suspect he's someone who should have school, just totally ignored it. That's suspicious in and of itself. That's just sickening, okay? But of course, these student activists aren't going to bring that up at all. It's all about the guns, and they want them banned, and etc., etc., etc. Now, they're getting a wake-up call already. We'll see what happens. See what happens. I don't know. I don't know. I know it's always something new. I know I don't always approve of Trump puts his foot in his mouth. Trump, he should have never, ever, used in the same sentence the thing about there's no Russian collusion or blah, blah, blah. He should have never, ever, he should have just, expressed condolences and said he could tear the FBI apart and say, they missed the blah, blah, whatever. And 17 people dead, but don't then go on to say, they were too busy trying to prove the Trump and blah, 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 blah. He should never have done that. I agree 100%. He should have never, ever gone there. That's just being disrespectful to those people who lost their lives. And the senseless fucking violence, senseless killings, just... And as I said in the other video, I instantly questioned Joe about Alex Jones having this girl, this student there, who swears that there was more than one shooter, because she apparently was chatting with Nicholas Cruz as he was making his escape by blending in with the other students who were running for their lives. And she said she heard shots while she was talking to him, which means there had to be more than one shooter. I said to Joe, you don't know she's not lying. And he's like, well, you gotta watch it, Laura. And he gave me the, you gotta watch it, and she doesn't seem like she's lying. She does air quotes, she does whatever. But I also know another student was on the news, and he didn't seem like he was lying either. And he came face to face with Nicholas Cruz, like a minute after Nicholas Cruz had got into that, come into the building. I'm assuming just walked right in. But they have the best security going, according to one of the students after the fact, you know, after the massacre. And basically he was spared because he saw him and he's loading. He wasn't finished loading his gun, because the person on the news says, why do you think he spared you? And the kid goes, because he wasn't finished loading his gun. He said, you better get out of here. It's going to get ugly, okay? And the kid ran for his life. He ran for his life. He has every right to. You know what I mean? He has a right to his own life. He doesn't have to be a hero. He doesn't have to go and try to warn all these people. It'd be too late anyway. It was going to be a minute later, probably. It's only going to take a minute for the Cruz to load his gun. Why? How come he didn't just come there with the gun already loaded? Just as if someone completely ignorant of how all these things work. I mean, wouldn't it have been easier for him to just not have to be in the school loading his gun? Wouldn't he have preferred to have it already loaded when he was on his way in the Uber to be dropped off? I don't know. It's too much. Too much. I just want to stress, I haven't investigated any of these so-called conspiracy theories online, any alternative media whatsoever. I'm aware of it because when I subscribe to Alex Jones, so I get his recommended videos and other things, but so when I'm not logged on to YouTube yet, but I've gone to the YouTube, and oh, I guess it is when I'm logged on, but I'm not at on my page yet. I'm on the recommended video page. So I just want to point that out. Everything I'm saying, I'm only going by mainstream news, and then I'm going by past things that Joe's told me about, including years ago he told me about the crisis actors. But I never did any investigating on my own. But I know Joe's not lying. If he says there are crisis actors, and which means there are actual people, you know that they're at one crisis and then another and another, then obviously they didn't really suffer in that crisis. They're acting and they're pretending that they did, and that's just rotten. And it doesn't mean that whatever happened, whatever tragedy or mass shooting, whatever didn't happen, but they are paid to pretend they were a part of it. And Joe says that they've been caught red-handed. Okay, there's pictures that prove it. Now, if you don't show me pictures of this, what is his name, David Hodges, whatever, at a different mass anyway, any kind of tragedy, if you don't show me pictures of him at some other one, not in your life am I going to accuse him of being some kind of crisis actor. But conspiracy theorists will just say, well, it's his first one, and then we'll see him at, I don't know, it's all, it's all bullshit. Too much. It's interesting. It's interesting to see what happened. I don't know. A new movie coming out called Each Day, where this high school student wakes up every single day in a different body, but always, a person, a student of the same age, but always a different body. So, and then it's like, I get to see what makes us different and what makes us all the same, because this person's going to be every race and going to be male, female, black, white, all different, and everyone that wakes up in a different body every single day. Weird. So it'll be interesting for me personally, because I've only been exposed to, for this past week, to the mainstream media's version of events, okay? What their mainstream media is saying, okay? I haven't even glanced at anything posted by alternative media. So I don't know what I'm going to find out. What I'm going to find out. All I have to do is talk to Joe, and I'll find out shit through him as well, because he listens to Alex Jones every day, as well as he follows other mainstream media people as well. Complicated. So, for the past week, like I said, no exposure to Joe. I talked to Joe like the same day. I talked to Joe right after it happened, when we hadn't yet learned all the, little things that were slowly going to come to the surface about what really happened, and how the FBI botched things so badly, and oh God. I said, Nicholas Cruz bragged on social media, he this, he that. There were police to the house numerous times when he lived there with his mom. He all but handed himself on a silver platter to anybody willing to see. But it was just all got ignored. Until it was too late. Got ignored. I mean, that's fucked up. There were so many warning signs, too many warning signs that this would happen. That's why when it happened, students who didn't know it was Cruz, they're on the news. We knew without knowing. We knew who it was going to wind up being, who was shooting up our school. We knew. And someone took the time to send a detailed thing to that pal, that FBI thing, and whoever's supposed to. Why is there a tip line if it's going to go ignored, something that important, that crucial, that detailed, where it said specifically what I told you in the other video. I read it from what it said, and it went fucking ignored, and it was someone close to Cruz, and it went ignored. So where's the FBI's culpability in this? Whoever fucked that up should be fired, should lose his or her job. Whoever fucked up, whoever was responsible for Why was it ignored? I can see why conspiracy theorists would have a field day with this. Why was something that blatant a month and a half before the mass shooting completely ignored? Why was it ignored? I mean, why have a tip line? Why bother having a tip line if you're going to ignore some important tips like that that are so clearly valid? Doesn't make sense, does it? Doesn't add up. Doesn't add up. So, you know, when people hear about that shit and then people in alternative media, so-called conspiracy theorists, hear about that shit that cannot be denied, okay? It's on mainstream news. It can't be denied. Obviously, after this happened, the person who sent in that tip is going to say, you know, I warned them and they ignored me. They did nothing, you know. So the FBI has a lot of explaining to do. So you combine all that shit with the fact that this kid just walked into that school, and then you find out that this one who's now just a really, really strong activist, but he also was the one filming it while it was happening, you know, talking to things, and you're hearing what's you know, is the son of somebody who works in the Miami division of the FBI. I mean, I can see where people are suspicious of all of it. I can see. I'm suspicious, most definitely suspicious of all of it, but I'm not going to automatically accuse this student of being some sort of plant, or, you know what I mean? I'm not going to accuse him of that. That was apparently, they said he was coached by his father on what to say, whatever, and you need to provide me, present me with solid fucking evidence of that, what's the word, incontrovertible, whatever, I need it, absolute solid evidence and then I'll believe it. That being said, I know damn well that what's being fed to us, fed to the world via the mainstream news, is not even remotely the entire story. The end.